Back in 2006, a group of friends and student filmmakers banded together to produce a movie that would go on to achieve cult status within the B-movie community, following its release through the legendary film distribution company Troma Entertainment. That film was, of course, the unforgettable Yeti, A Love Story. Many years later, that same group of writers, directors and actors, each having gone on to develop their individual careers as filmmakers, again came together to produce that first movie's sequel, the equally boner-constricting Another Yeti, A Love Story, Life on the Streets. Joining us today is one of a trio of filmmakers who were the driving force behind the production of Another Yeti, Hollywood screenwriter and actor Jim Martin. With an already expansive list of IMDb entries to his name, Jim has already applied his creative flair to a number of projects, not least of which is his work on the aforementioned feature films Yeti, A Love Story and its wonderfully hilarious sequel. Jim graciously joins us today for an in-depth discussion of his work over the years and to give us an insight into the various processes involved in film production. While he is known by most as Hollywood screenwriter Jim Martin, anyone who has had the misfortune of being touched inappropriately by a 6-foot-tall Yeti with an addiction to heroin and an erection will of course know him as one Mr. Pimp Billy Fonz. Jim, thanks for joining us and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, Def.
I happen to review a couple of films which you obviously were very, very involved in. The aforementioned Yeti, A Love Story and Another Yeti, Life on the Streets. You were a co-writer for Another Yeti. You were also involved in the writing for Yeti as well, for Yeti, A Love Story, the first one?
The first one, yeah, I was actually brought in because I was living with Adam Dio and Eric Goslin, who were the co-directors of Yeti, A Love Story, which Troma then rebranded Yeti, A Gay Love Story, because Lloyd loved the idea of pushing that agenda to try to make it more.
Is that why? Why? Because me and the guys online were trying to figure that out. We were like, wait, what? When is this change title? What? That's why that was. That was something from Lloyd.
Yeah, if you look at the original DVD box, there's a little caret right between the A and the love, and there's a little caret that goes up and it just says gay, and that's what Lloyd put in on the box. It's like, all right, well, I guess that's what we're doing with that. But what happened was I was living with Adam Dio and Eric Goslin, and we had a house with 12 dudes, 11 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, laundry room. It was this giant, like, almost not fully dilapidated like house, but like everybody was in either film school or like literature or an artist or a musician or whatever. And we were in Allston, Massachusetts, and most of us were going to Emerson College.
That must have been really awesome to have been in those kind of formative years, to have been kind of surrounded by that many people that all had that sort of creative sort of early flourishes and bursts of energy and stuff. That must have been really interesting to kind of bounce ideas off each other and kind of develop yourselves.
Absolutely. I mean, full disclosure, growing up, I grew up in a really small town in central western Massachusetts, and there were more cows than people, and I was I played sports and stuff, but I was definitely the class clown and talkative and into arts and into making movies and doing jokes and considered to be, or at least I felt like an outsider, And then I went to Boston to Emerson College and just met everybody that to this day are still, I met Adam Malamut, who stars in the Yeti movies and Psycho Sleepover and Street Team Massacre. I met him my first day and he was my roommate and we just got thrown together. And then Dave Page, who plays Dick, he was our other roommate. So freshman year, I was already with 2 of my best friends in the world to this day. Yeah, Emerson, as much as I'm still paying it off right now financially, it is the best decision I've ever made in my life. I was doing a short film called Corey Applecore, Diary of an Athlete. And so I'd be up super late, and the only other person awake would be Adam Dio, because he was cutting on the premiere on his computer in his room, the first cut of Yeti, A Love Story. And he and I was in scenes with him, and like he asked me if I would direct the love montage with Dick, and I was the guy that was Herb the Toucher that was consistently rubbing my
Herb the Toucher, yeah.
yeah. If nothing else, I'm consistent, Def, So I'd be walking around at 3 a.m, and have music going in my room, and I'd walk by his and he'd be up and I'd like, what are you doing? I'd look at his, he'd come in, look at mine. It was a nice little release, I'd have somebody to bounce off of. And so he and I just that semester, I think I slowly just realized that I'm like, oh, I never want to not work with this guy. He makes things happen, and there's nobody that has a stronger gusto, zeal, just a stick-to-itiveness. He's very focused and very, I don't know. It's admirable. Adam Dio is a very impressive individual, and I'm very glad that he's one of my besties. So we would go in there, and as we were doing it, he was like, "Oh, geez," and I will do an impression of him, which he will probably hate, but you're like, I don't know what to do. It's like, it's got to be at least 76 minutes. If it's not 76 minutes, it's not a feature film, and then it can't be distributed. And what? So he was, because he knows because he's one of the most well-versed film aficionados, and he knows that because was it Nightmare Before Christmas was nominated for something at 76 minutes 47 seconds, something like that, and he's like, as long as that, it's technically a feature film, so internationally it can be distributed. And he's like, it's not long enough. I was like, all right, well, what do we want to do? He was like, can you write a couple scenes? I was like, sure. And so I wrote stuff that feels a little superfluous, maybe. I don't know, like the scene of the worst sheriff ever.
Please fill out these forms.
Fuck that.
And there were no rules, and Adam was working at the Film Equipment Center, so if there was a weekend where one of the DC 100 digital media cameras, this is before, now we have phones that look way better than anything that we shot. But now also I say that like, I'm like, I can't believe this happened so fast, but it was 18 years ago. And I do feel old, so that's good.
One of the things that just surprised the hell out of me about Yeti 2 was the just vast difference between the first film and the second one, and it seemed to me that the amount of maturity that had taken place between the first and second, because the first, as you say, was, it was kids having fun. It was kids enjoying themselves and exploring, creative arts, and just, fun first and foremost. But I'd love to know what happened with you after the release of Yeti 1. What was your career trajectory, and what were the ways in which you kind of advanced as a writer in between the first and second films?
Basically what happened was we wrapped Yeti 1, and I was more ancillary in that film because I was focused on my short, Corey Applecore Diary of an Athlete, and which does not hold up, by the way. It's a different time, and you can't say some of the, even Yeti 1, there's words that we're not proud of that are in there. Yeah.
But product of its time. I think it's understandable.
And it was supposed to be it was supposed to be a parody, and it was supposed to spoof the people that do act that way. And every once in a while you watch it now and you go just cringe, a little bit. We all moved out to LA, and so I had an internship at the Todd Phillips Company, and Adam and Eric ended up working on these reality shows, and also freelancing. Like, Adam would go into art department, and he kind of fudged his way into he's like, oh yeah, no, I can do this. Like, oh, you're an art director? And he was basically a PA, and he was like, yeah. And they're like, all right. He basically just doubled his rate, and then he was just like, I don't know what I'm doing, but fuck it, whatever. But he can do, that guy teaches himself everything, that, I think 80 to 90% of the VFX on Another Yeti, A Love Story, Life on the Streets was done by Adam Dio, and that was through tutorials on YouTube and learning how to do it, because that wasn't his thing before that.
My first impression of Yeti 2 was that incredible intro. Like I was like, holy fuck, this looks incredible. With the way that neon is kind of outlining the city and stuff, and it's just such a fantastic looking opener.
For whatever what we are, we're also snobs and want it to look better than anything. And we were like, oh, we want it to look like the opening to Drive, but also something that Gaspar Noé would do, but also not aggressively Gaspar Noé with the flashing of like, Enter the Void, because we're going to have dicks on either side. So we wanted to look sleek and we want to show the city. And we also knew that we were shooting without any permits. So we were like, there's not a lot of scope to the movie. So let's show the city before we dive into the city. So as you know, and as we discussed, Yeti, a gay love story, was kind of half-assed made in college, and then Adam and Eric sold it to Troma for, and I shit you not, $1.
Are you for fucking real?
Yeah, no, and for but it was going to be distributed. And it was like, and at that point, we're kids, and we're like, oh, and we don't have to pay for distribution or anything, and we get it, and we'll get like Adam and Eric were psyched that they got like 15 DVDs,
Those things must be worth a fortune now, by the way. There's just as an aside, I was like, I need to own a copy of this. So I went to look for one, and the only copy I could find was, I'm almost certain it cost $70.
But even the on Amazon, when they would sell them, like somebody asked us like for an autographed copy, they're like, oh, we'll pay you, and not to self-aggrandize or be braggadocious, but they're like, oh, $100, $150, what do you want? And then we looked, and just to even get a DVD, not even a Blu-ray, a DVD, so we could sign it to send it to them, it was going to cost almost the same price that they were charging us, and then they were shipping it, and we were like, tell you what, if you buy it and send it to us, we'll pay shipping.
I've got it here, yeah. $60.76 is how much that costs.
And I think that's more than any of us had made on that movie at all. So at least somebody's making money on it.
Yeah, someone is. Yeah, someone's bootlegging it and making a fortune.
They sold that off, and it was basically also the rights to the Yeti characters, blah, in perpetuity.
Oh, wow, okay.
Like, forever.
Holy shit, right.
Yeah. In that moment, no one gives a shit. You're 21, 22, you're running around, you go, all right, fine. It's not like we're doing another Yeti movie. Come on, nobody cares. And then the movie comes out on DVD, and it's on weird on-demand channels only in like Canada and on Xfinity On Demand randomly. So we're like, okay. And then we did a couple other movies. We did this movie called Street Team Massacre, which of the first 3 movies we did, Street Team is my favorite. That's one that I was pretty involved in as well. And it stars Adam Malama again, and myself. And, Eric makes a cameo, and, there's, and Laura Glasscott, who was in the first Yeti movie as the huntress or whatnot, the one who survives kind of at the end with the crossbow. And that movie was really, really fun. And like, it's a zombie hick movie. Like it's a very dumb. Lloyd has a great part in it. Lloyd and I are in cahoots, and it's really fun. Like, and Troma put that out, but it was right at the time that Troma wasn't doing DVDs anymore. So they put it out on their channel. And then we did Psycho Sleepover, and that was one that was at the Austin Film Festival in 2008. And I had a script at the Austin Film Festival, and I was working on Heroes at the time. And so I brought my boss, Tim Kring, and we went to go watch Psycho Sleepover. And we got there a little late because we had dinner before, and he was shocked that the theater was full and we had to stand in the back. Like it was kind of a cool moment for me where my boss was like, wow, this dumb shit you do is actually, people care about it? Well, yeah, man. Yeah, we do good. But then in 2012, Reddit blew up with, it was basically a screen cap of the first Yeti movie. It said Yeti, a gay love story. It's like a sexually repressed homophobic frat boy falls in love with a Yeti who's under mind control from a cult. And the two of them take down the cult thanks to an ancient scroll and a camping troop with crossbows or whatever. Like it was like one of those things. You're like, what? And luckily, when that happened, it had just been uploaded to the Troma YouTube page. They had to re-upload it. They had to re-upload it at a higher res. Like, so because they have multiple versions. Like, I don't know which one it is, but there was 700,000 on one, there was 500,000 on another. I mean, slightly embarrassing because it does feature a lot of wieners of our friends and myself, and so that happened. And then our friend Matt Mandaritas was working at Trauma, and he saw the reaction that the first one was getting online. And he told Lloyd, called us up. Lloyd's like, guys, this is going to be amazing. Let's do another one. We could do another movie. We want another Yeti movie. It's already, the people are loving it on Reddit. We'll just do another one. Yeah, let's do it. And we're like,
that's a great Lloyd impression, by the way.
Thanks. He's the best. I fucking love that guy. And so we said, fuck yeah, man. Yeah, let's do it. Can we have some money to shoot it? and he was like, I wish I could. There's been a reversal of financial misfortunes. We're not in a good situation right now. And so we're like, okay. And he's like, but you should make the movie. I'm like, okay, like how are we gonna get the money? And then we're like, what if we did a Kickstarter? There's this many people on Reddit. I haven't called any favors into anybody. I've been working hard for a bunch of people with a bunch of people for a long time. Come on now. And so we did it. And we put a lot of time and effort into I actually think that the Kickstarter video is a fun short that's better than a lot of it's like better than a lot of SNL shorts I watch. I'm like, that's really fun.
We made the first Yeti a Gay Love Story almost 10 years ago. And then it was released by Trauma Entertainment. And then we just kind of went on with our careers. 9 years later, it popped up on Reddit, and it kind of took on a life of its own.
Amazing. Well, that's a lot about the first movie, but I still have no idea what Yeti, A Gay Love Story 2, Life on the Streets is all about.
Don't ask me. Ask my co-writer, Jim Martin.
Oh, right, yeah.
Hey, you guys, I'm in this too. I thought I was doing
Just sit down.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're part of this.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in a unique situation where everybody involved is either lived nearby us from the first one, like lived with us or nearby us, or would be willing to come out and hang out for a couple days. And then also, as far as like soundtracks and music go, we have Adam Malamut, who is a iconic musician and genius of all trades. So, I mean, we're like, if you look at the soundtrack, you go, oh, what are there, like 18 songs? I want to say like 12 are Adam. I honestly think that's what we've made the most money on. On Bandcamp, people will be like, oh, I'll give you $5. I'll give you $5 for this music because it's great. So we did this thing and we got our friends to join in and do it. And then we raised enough money somehow. And we were like, all right, if we're going to do this, we got to have a good story. And so Eric and I sat down, and in 2 days, we banged out a pretty good outline. It was like 12 pages. And then we sent it to Adam, and then the next week we got together, and Adam had so many notes, and I'm like, you're overthinking this. And he's like, no, I want to know where this is, and this is. And between you and I, he was right. So we went through it all, and eventually we got to, all right, this outline works. Great. We got to write it now. And it was between maybe 2 seasons of a show. Yeah, it had to be between the first and second season of Randy Cunningham 9th Grade Ninja that I was writing on for Disney XD, that Eric had a month off he was story producing on a reality show, and I had a hiatus from my cartoon for kids, and we just got together twice a week, and we would write 10 to 17 pages a day. When we got done, we finished it up, and then we sent it to Adam. He gave us some notes. We did another pass, and then we had our friends Josh Androsky, who's a very funny comedian, and Dan Dominguez, who's a fabulous writer as well and very funny. They did some punch up on it, and then we went through and we massaged it, and Eric and I did a final pass, and then we had the script ready. We basically got the script ready right as we launched the Kickstarter.
So, considering the obvious limitations that you guys would have had with regard to budget, how did the production actually come together? How did you overcome that?
We all wore multiple hats. Like, I mean, I hate like line producing, and I hate doing that, but somehow I fall into that because I know that I also, not somebody that's going to work the camera. I know that I don't do that, but what I can do is I can go, all right, this scene, if it takes more than this amount of time, we're in trouble. If it takes more than this amount of time, we're in trouble. So I can do a schedule. I can work around, all right, we have this character, this character, this character. If we do these scenes here, here's the most efficient way to do it. And it's not fun. I mean, the problem is I can do it, but it's not fun. So, that's one of those things that you run into when people assign you jobs. You're like, yes, I know I'm good at it, but I really don't enjoy it. But I also love this project, and I knew that if I didn't do it, nobody would. And it's not that's not to say anything about anybody else. But I knew Eric was going to be working a lot with the actors, and Adam was going to be working a lot with the camera and the shots and storyboarding and stuff. And, we didn't really have a full-time assistant director. So it was kind of me and our friend Davey, who worked as an AD, a PA, a set deck, everything. Like, he was a catch-all, and he was always available for us. And I mean, we couldn't have made that movie without Davey Aguilera. I mean, the weird thing is, as an adult now, it's funny because we shot it 5 years ago. And just looking at it now and just thinking about the amount of people that just said yes and just said, yeah, we'll help you out and do it. It's kind of stupid. It's a really stupid thing. The other thing we agreed upon was all actors, basically, it's all favors. Nobody got paid except for if you're getting naked, you get paid. And if you're Whitney Moore, you get paid. Well, that was also because Whitney wasn't like a close friend so much. Like, she was on a podcast with Eric and our friend John, and I mean, she was the best, performance in, Birdemic and Birdemic 2, and like, we love Whitney, and it's funny now. Whitney and I are thick as thieves, and Eric as well, and we're actually writing a project together right now. That she was just over here on Monday. But like at the time, it was like, all right, if we can get somebody that's a little bit of royalty in this world, somebody that's a known quantity. And like Phoenix Ascani, she ended up getting I think associate producer credit because we had Dana Diarmond was going to play Dr. Lust, and she got massive food poisoning, like really bad the night before, and so we didn't have somebody, and that role required. It was like a 2-day role maybe, but the day that we were shooting required the nudity and rolling around in the lube and the Yeti guy.
Yeah, the fetus pool, yeah.
How do you find somebody on the day of that you can call and go, hey, so do you want to act in a thing? Yeah, I love acting in things. They're like, okay, so you have to get nude. They're like, all right. It's like, but don't worry, it's not sex, and you're wrestling another woman. Okay, in horse lube, and there's fake Yeti fetuses nearby. And she's like, you had to, I mean, I can't make that call. If a guy makes that call, it's just like, all right, I'm going to be murdered in a warehouse. Within 2 hours, Phoenix got Lyric Suicide, the awesome suicide girl who plays Dr. Lust. And she showed up, and she was such a sport. And she showed up cold, hadn't read anything, and she gave it her all, and she was awesome. It was funny. It's also funny because I can't imagine walking into, because that was, I want to say out of 17 days, I think that was day like 8 or 9. And so we're all just kind of punch drunk, and we're just like, we need to get this shot so we can at least get 4 hours of sleep before we shoot again tomorrow. And she walked in, and there's just people dressed like the way we were dressed, and it was insane. I just stabbed Drake Mandrake in the eye, and she walked in and was like, what did I get myself into? We didn't pay anybody too much. We wanted to, I would have loved to pay everybody. I mean, our DP, Nick Tully, is one of the best cameramen I've ever met in my life. He's amazing. I mean, he took basically a month off to do this with us, and dude flies around the world to shoot, and everybody loves him. And we went to college together. He's just one of my dudes, and so it's nice to have people that everybody said yes in a weird way. It was a film of love and favors.
like you kind of highlight, it's so fortuitous that you had those people around you. I mean, even just I have the cast list in front of me here, and it's just so many incredible like little cameos and stuff. Like Tommy Pistol. Obviously, his intro to the film. Spoiler alert for anyone that hasn't seen it, but. Yeah, the incredible intro, and then it just goes bang, dong, right in your face.
Which, I mean, looking back, maybe not the best way to sell a movie because
I wonder why.
If you need to watch more than like 15 minutes of a movie, maybe put the dong at 16 minutes, not at 1. But that was one of the things I was like, I was adamant, and I was talking to Eric about this the other day. Actually, I'm like, sorry, I just wanted people to know what movie they were watching, you know? Like, I wanted it to start off and go, oh, it's this movie, okay. But not realizing that also that could be like, oh, it's this movie, bye-bye. And he was like, no, we all agreed on that. He's like, so that made me feel better. But it's one of those things where you just go, I mean, we got kicked off of Amazon because it was gratuitous nudity, I think. Our premiere went really well. We won the funniest film at the Genre Blast Film Festival. We've won a couple awards at other film festivals as well. It's really, I mean, for better or worse, it's divisive, and it splits opinions, because if you're in for the ride, then you're in for it and you'll enjoy it. But if you're going to blanch at anything that might be uncouth or a little bit abrasive, then it's hard. It's I mean, there's a section of society right now that, like, if you don't tell them when Blazing Saddles was made, if they watch it, they would think that whoever made it should be strung up because it's racist. So, and I'm not doing the Todd Phillips thing. I'm not going down that road. What I'm saying is, the satire and the parody and the levity of it, and I think even while making it, we realized some things and became, just realized the messages sent. You can have characters do the wrong thing, but you don't want people to think that the filmmakers believe in what the characters are doing.
Yes. A character's behavior versus the filmmaker's endorsement of that character's behavior. Yeah, a lot of people
Absolutely.
a lot of people can't really see that there was a distinction there when there absolutely is.
But that's so at the end, when Sex Piss says, why do bad things happen to good people? While shooting, we were like, we want to let people know that we don't actually believe that so we had Dick go, because there is no God and we're all alone. Also, I don't think we're good people. He's like, or it was Adam or whatever. He's like, thanks. For some reason, that makes me feel better. We took so much inspiration from the Abrams Zucker movies, and from Airplane, from Basketball for me, but then also from the Naked Gun movies and all of these things, like the bit of throwing the book into the fireplace when there's no fireplace nearby. It's National Lampoons. It's an homage to that. It's to Doug Kenny, to everybody that was always a hero to me, like Mel Brooks, obviously. It was fun to do something also where you didn't get notes from a studio, but then you found yourself going, are we doing the right thing? We were featured as in a Spanish film festival as a curated main thing at the B Retina Festival. Like,
oh god,
that was the we were like, it was like at Cannes when you have like the main movie.
Yeah.
That was us.
Oh sweet Jesus.
I know.
That would be fantastic.
Like whatever town that's in Madeira or something, they're in trouble.
Wow. And what was the reception?
They loved it. I mean, every genre festival that's put us in has like awarded us something in a weird way. It's been lovely. The thing about Another Yeti, A Love Story, Life on the Streets is it used a cavalcade of people that are working as professionals in the industry on a really low budget and didn't pay almost any of them, and they all brought their skills to the table, and it looks like a professional. It looks like it's a $150,000 movie, and we did it for 20 grand, and that's what, at the end of the day, I mean, look, honestly, if you really counted up the hours and everything, I'm sure Adam Dio spent enough hours where it's probably a 30 grand movie, but it's, it's a testament to talent as opposed to finances. And the response to the movie has been very interesting because I feel like there's, after the premiere, everybody that was in the theater, it's a very good theater movie. Every theater I've been in where it's played, it's in, and I'm not equating us to Rocky Horror, but it's very much in the Rocky Horror way, or very much the way where it's fun to laugh.
Yes,
and
a lot of audience participation. Yeah.
And the drinking game's fun too.
Oh, well, speaking of drinking games, I mean, there was an online group of guys that I as you know, we watched movies together, and we watched Another Yeti, A Love Story, Life on the Streets, and we have this drinking game where when anything of kind of note or something of interest happens on screen, we put up a drink. And the previous record had been something, I believe at the time, was like 42 drinks or something. And we all watched Yeti 2 one night, and it was 96 drinks, which for the length of a normal, just feature-length film, was at the time unheard of. There was another film that has since beaten it, but only because it was
it's a 77-minute movie.
Yeah, well, yeah. The film that beat it was a fucking 2.5-hour Bollywood movie. So you can kind of see, but yeah, 96 drinks the first time we watched that film, and it was a fucking riot. I had tears streaming down my face, dude.
To that point, I mean, we did it because we went, all right, we might be wrong, but here are things that would never get through anything else that we think are funny that we can do, and some of them might be crossing a line, but if they are, we're not doing them in a negative way. And then, I mean, we even made it a point, I mean, and we thought about this in a certain way, like Alistair and Linda probably get the most shit of anybody in the movie, and they're the only ones that find love and happiness. I mean, if you call what they have at the end is happiness.
Incidentally, as well, one of the in the time since that we've watched, because we've watched that film multiple times since, we just hate on Linda. We just join in, where it's like anytime that poor woman comes on screen, it's like, shut up, Linda. It's just so good.
I mean, and some of it, for some reason, the one person that can't remember any lines in the world is the one that we cast in everything, Adam Malamut. He I don't remember if it's in the script or not, when she says, is there anything I can do? And he says, you could unshoot someone for once in your life. And I don't remember if that's in the script or if he just said it and I was dying. I think one of the things that made our movie work, that we all agreed on before we did it, was we didn't want anybody in the movie to be in on the joke. We wanted everybody, we wanted their opinion and their views to be skewed and to have weird takes on things, but we wanted them to be 100% serious. The one character that we decided, though, should have to know that he's being watched and be confident about it. Chris Nelson plays him. He is the police officer. We named him Mac Wahlberg, the one from the Cop Mafia. I was like, hey, could you do this? He's like, yeah. Do you want me to grow a mustache? I'm like, why? He goes, it says he has a mustache. I'm like, do you want to? And he's like, yep. And so people just were all in. They were just, everybody was like, he's like, yep, I'll have a mustache. And then when he was like, and we also made it a point to do things where, how does Pimp Billy Fonz and everybody know what's happening with the good guys? And you just have the Cop Mafia go, I heard everything they said, and it makes complete sense. And I understood everything. It's like you throw that in there, and it's a funny little scene. Also, Chris Nelson is a vegetarian, which I didn't know at the time, and he was actually eating chicken wings because he was in character. So again, people care too much about dumb shit that I did. How fabulous was Marissa Merrill? as Tanene.
But one of my favorite scenes in that film is Sex Piss and Tanene have booked the room.
And that's not her accent at all. You know, her accent is, I mean, she's a California girl. Like she just took that, and I was like, oh, I love that. Don't ever change that. Just go. This is amazing. Marissa specifically asked Adam, like, in any of the movies we work together in, I have to be topless. Because she was in Dead Season, which is on Sci-Fi, and Adam Dio directed that movie, and it's very good. It's a very good zombie movie. Yeah, we're actually cracking on a sequel to that, which might shoot in Hawaii, and I helped come up with the story for that one. Or they might shoot another movie that Adam wrote that is very good. That we just got to figure out the financing, because we have some money. We just got to figure out if we can shoot both for the same amount, or if we can shoot one, and if whatever it is, if we can save a little bit of money to do the third Yeti movie.
Right, okay. Look, all right.
We have basically 2.5 takes, and one of which I don't want to go too far down the line and explain too much, because we have to. I mean, we have an outline right now, because I can tell you this. All right, so it's either going to be a Christmas movie or an island party movie. But we have some ideas, and I have words written on pages for both. So yeah, we just got to figure out if and when we can just do stuff. And I think regardless of what it is, Pimp Billy's coming back. Sex Piss will be back. The Yeti will be back. Baby Eddie will be back. Angel Snowflake will be back. Hopefully Adam will be back. So yeah, for what it's worth, like after a couple of years ago, and I don't know how we did that. I never want to do that again. Got the hair up my ass, and I was like, when the opportunity came up, I was like, well, yeah, I think let's do something. I got excited.
I really, really want to talk about the Don Damage short.
Collateral damage.
Hi, it's me, Don Damage.
Don Damage.
So in the Another Yeti, A Love Story, Life on the Streets, when the Yeti is going through the
through the bands.
Detox.
Yeah.
That's that animation and segment was done by Mike Taylor, and Mike L. Taylor is a genius director, DP, editor, animator, comic artist, guy, and friend, and he also is the one that did the poster for. He basically did the Yeti as Lolita. So Robert Rodriguez had this competition on the El Rey network, right? Called I think it was Rebel Without a Crew, or the series or something like that. It was basically they were trying to get independent filmmakers to feature film for under I want to say 7,000. It might have been 14 or 15. Like not enough money. They the same way the same way Robert Rodriguez did El Mariachi. So, and Mike is a virtuoso when it comes to post and to effects and all this stuff. So he submitted himself, and he got down to, I want to say that I think the last 10 or the last 5. And all right, well, what's the feature that you want to shoot? We need that before you have your final interview on this day. And there's 10 days from now. And Mike was like, he's like, so I'm like, all right, yeah, I can pound one out. And so based on something he and I had previously talked about, I pounded out a first draft of a script. And it was like a feature. 98 pages or whatever, and he wasn't the one chosen. They only chose 3, but Mike and really dug the Don Damage story.
Collateral Damage.
The complete Don Damage collection, volumes 1 through 12. Now let's watch some of your favorite scenes. Based on my real-life experiences in the motion picture business.
So, Donnie boy, what do you say? Are we making my movie or not?
No dice. This script is a stinker. No way Damage is doing this picture.
Baby, I'm sorry, but I wasn't clear. You don't have a choice. You're signing the contract and you're doing the movie, or I'm gonna kill you and your entire family. That sound like a deal, Don?
Sounds like a green light. Let's start shooting.
Tony Anthony, get him!
And then we were talking about shooting it, and then we were trying to figure out how to finance it. And then he was like, well, why don't I do a short? I was like, no, we'll do like a third of it, and then we can do the other 2/3. And lo and behold, while we were shooting the first third, which we turned into a short that we could use as a short, we shot the short of Don selling the VHS tapes and the DVDs and whatnot, which I think is, for me so far, is my favorite. But the feature of Don Damage will be done in, I don't know, there's a lot of posts to happen, and I do not envy Mike and Ryan Black. Mike's also he's a perfectionist. Like there were scenes that, like, he'd put markers on and he's like, no, that's going to be glowing. We're going to put neon through here and here and here. I'm like, do we need to? I mean, that's going to take a lot of your time when you're editing. And he's like, no, it's going to look rad. Yeah, no, we'll do it. But I mean, he's look, he's knows what he's doing, man. It's going to be rad as hell.
That's not all, folks. We're just getting started. From Dusk Till Damage, featuring some of my best internal monologues. Mortality, that's some heavy damage. But who'd want to live forever as some gross undead zombie creature? The Speak of the Undead Shovel. Zombies. I dig it. Who's ready to get ditched by damage?
And that guy, Trip Pickle, is so fucking good.
For future reference to everybody, no one calls cut on a Damage set except Damage. Now roll.
We're still speeding.
Yeah, fuck yeah we are, because the crew knows who's in charge here. I was making hit films while you were shitting on your mama's titties. Now action!
Yeah, Don Damage is something that Mike Taylor and I conceived, and Mike has taken the ball and run with, and it's going to be so amazing. And I look forward to seeing, because I ended up getting a job, and so I produced the first third of it and that short, and then he shot like 60 more minutes while I was working. So, but like he would send me cuts, and he's sending me stuff, and I'm like, just like, this is going to be incredible.
Have you guys got a time scale in mind for the rest of that production?
Honestly, with the amount of post-production, which is not something I know much about, no. That's the thing about being a writer, is like I can sit there and I can finish the script by the time that we talk about, but when you're doing post, I'm like, oh, what's the matter? It's not rendering? What's rendering mean?
How do you think the current trend of internet distribution is affecting low-budget content creators and filmmakers and writers? Is it easier now to be able to create things and to distribute things than it was before, for whenever, from whenever you started? What's easier now for a low-budget filmmaker to be able to do in comparison to what it was, say, 10 or 20 years ago?
Great question. I think because of the digital production and the lack of, for a better term, a content gate, people can produce and put anything out there, and so there's a lot more content, and it's a lot easier to produce, and as good as that is, so everybody has an equal playing field, it's also harder to stand out. I find myself stuck between two stations where if you do something good, you want people to recognize it, but at the same time, it might be lost amidst the muckety-muck of all the other visual diarrhea. Between this and what it was, I mean, man, I'll take this, you know? It's like, this is universal filmmaking. It's everybody has a voice. Everybody has a chance to do something. And I like that, you know? In film school, there were a couple kids that had money from parents or angel investors or whomever, like where they would do like a $30,000 short film, and then you'd watch it and go, just literally, it's like some visuals, and the visuals also are confusing. Yeah, they're pretty, but it's like, just fucking have a gallery if you want to do that. But at the end of the day, like, the more level the playing field, and I feel this for film, for music, for everything, like for people, you know, just for people just going like, hey, if we level the playing field, the cream hopefully will rise to the top. But also, I'm not sure if that's true, and that might be an Ayn Randian thing, and I don't really subscribe to that. So I don't really know where I fall down on it, but I like the idea that shoot a short, I could do it. But I also have, like, you know, my phone, and I just got this little like stupid app called like Splice, and did a dumb video of my dog the other day, and I was like, the gateway to this medium is very quickly becoming non-existent, which is the best, but also possibly it makes it hard to find good stuff. I remember, you know, going to the video store, right? And I remember going, that's a cool fucking box, you know? That box looks fucking cool. I'm gonna rent that one. And you take it home, and sometimes it'd be shit, and sometimes it'd be magic, you know? It was one of those things where you didn't know what you were gonna get, and I think that's part of the B movie culture of, I like that analog thing of just going like, I'd rather have a story that's done cheap, that's told well, than have something that spends $1 billion and you still at the end go, okay, so why do I care? You know, it's like, at the end of the day, if you don't care about the characters, then you're not telling a good story.
Do you think that's maybe one of the reasons why Hollywood is, like, I'm talking, you know, obviously big budget mainstream Hollywood, seems to be kind of trying to retread, or certainly at the very least revisit, those kind of films where you were entertained by a story. And it just feels like Hollywood now is obsessed with retreading that ground or trying to revisit it.
Shoot myself in the foot career-wise or whatever, but I'm more than happy to just tell the truth. Generation of executives that grew up watching movies in the 80s, and they don't want to, and they're scared to try anything new. And they think those are the movies to remake, and those are the things to do. And there's also a fear culture in almost every studio and every network I've ever seen, where people, if they champion something and then it doesn't go well, they get fired, and no one wants to get fired. And so people just start pushing things off, and they go, all right, well, we'll have the meeting after Thanksgiving, and then we'll have the meeting after Christmas. And it just goes, because then you get 4 more paychecks, 5 more paychecks, you know. And even it could be subconscious, but I don't think it's fake. I think there's a fear culture in this town of people that just don't want to do anything that's outside of the box, and that is the reason why, you know, fucking. Look, I was excited to see the new Terminator movie. Did I see it? No. Like, people are just so afraid to try anything, and it's just so shitty.
It's like production by formula. It's, well, if we'll take this aspect and this aspect because this worked in this film and this worked in that film. You know the way you kind of come across these things on Twitter where it's like a story that's being written by an AI. It kind of sort of feels like a story. I mean, it's written in the English language, but it's kind of wonky and it's fucked, and it doesn't really kind of make any logical sense. It kind of feels like Hollywood are making their movies in the same way. It's like, we're going to feed all these elements of what we perceive to have been previously successful films into an algorithm, and it's going to spit out, Terminator Genesis or whatever the fuck the latest one was called.
Seen the South Park where Cartman is the robot, and Butters brings him to Hollywood to visit his cousin or whatever, and Cartman just goes, he starts pitching ideas for movies. So like, Adam Sandler is a cactus, and Reese Witherspoon is a cowgirl, and she falls in love with the cactus, but she can't hug him without being pricked, and it's called Painful Hugs. they're like, all right, yes, green light. All right, what else you got? You know,
there you go. There's $100 million.
I find like when I'm writing, characters should derive the motivation. When I'm trying to write something, basically, you know, is there a reason to? Are the characters being driven in a direction? Do they want to do something? If you don't know the want of a character in a scene, then the scene isn't worth writing. Generally, if the scene starts in a place and it doesn't go either up or down, the scene is cuttable. You basically want to have a drive and a direction from the characters to do something, and characters are the most important because, like, I mean, just to throw it back to the Yeti movie, the second one, like, the first thing you see other than the opening of Pimp Billy Fonz is he's like, ooh, I'm gonna steal that Yeti baby. And you go, all right, well, I know his want now. And so you go, all right, there's a drive. There's a drive, and then you don't necessarily know how that's gonna tie into what happens, but you go, all right. For better or worse, I will say that Another Yeti, A Love Story, Life on the Street is structurally a really good movie. And I would hold that up against a lot of movies out there. The interesting thing about writing is I've always enjoyed doing it, but I always hated homework. And somehow I ended up having a job that is almost exclusively homework. So that's a fun little twist. But I'm thinking about, like, you know, things I cared about, things I liked, things I thought would be cool. You know, trying to connect to people with the hope, you know, that what I'm doing and what I'm saying, somebody else digs, you know? I know it's weird for me to say this, but, like, I write a lot of kids' cartoons, and for whatever it is, I connect with that of the, you know, the idea of being different doesn't make you weird, being different makes you special. You know, and which I think that's part of what, you know, the Yeti stuff is doing, and I think that's, like, you know, what a lot of our stuff tries to do. I feel like I've learned in the past, you know, 6 or 7 years, and it's helped me be a better writer, and also helped me, you know, write on Malibu Rescue and write on, you know, Best Friends Whenever and Raven's Home and, you know, Disney Channel shows and Netflix shows, and I'm like, not really what I thought I would ever be doing, but hey, man, stories are stories, and the characters are interesting. So yeah, even like I'm doing with Eric Goslin and Whitney Moore. It's silly, but it's about being an outsider in an in-group and realizing it's the story of Rudolph, really. You know, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It's like, you know, what makes you special makes you great. What makes you different makes you special, and you can't be beholden to cultural norms because the thing that you have might actually make that culture better.
I just want to say thank you, Jim, for coming on and talking to us, man. You're a cool guy, and I really, really fucking appreciate it, dude.
Hey, I couldn't have been here if you didn't ask me to be here, but I honestly really appreciate it, mate.